welcome to everybody, the panelists and the audience joining us today for this discussion. I think, today we are here to discuss human capital transformation, and in the post-COVID era, this becomes even more pertinent because what we've seen in this era is more, we've been more focused on digital transformations, and carrying that forward have been our people at the very center of it. So, when we're talking about today's topic is learning management system, we're in the L&D side of things. Just an opening statement to the panelists that, as we all know, companies who invest in employee training have 24% higher profit margins than those who do not. It's one of the statistics we hear about. Now, the learning landscape is continuously changing. Advances in technology have played a huge role, and e-learning programs have become a necessity. And as the workforces in many companies become increasingly virtual and globally dispersed, L&D takes center stage in building values-based culture and a sense of community. In fact, in the post-COVID times, some important factors of consideration for people are values-based, sustainable enterprises that contribute to the welfare of society. That brings me to another question that, when we're discussing people and things may have, not remained the same as before COVID, how are we looking at these systems and what are your industry insights? So I would first go around and ask Nitin if, he would like to, if Nitin, you would like to share with us what's happening in the industry, how have people expectations changed, how is the workforce reacting, and what are your thoughts on these systems in place?
I think everything has changed a lot when we talk about this part of learning and development, and in the other areas too. Now it is much easier for the learning and development people to sell a business case. Now it is much easier for people to adapt, because now the change has made them feel that they have to adapt, there's no choice. So this is the golden era for, I would say, all those things that we've been talking about more than 15 years now. So I still remember sometime 2016 when we were working on a project on blended learning. I'm talking about 2006, sorry. So this is the golden period, and I think it is really good from the perspective of our customers who are going to learn more, who are going to be better and be much, much stronger as a professional in future than what we've been learning and being. Go ahead.
I lost you in between there. I'm so sorry I couldn't hear your last sentence.
Yeah, that's okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So Nitin, like you said, a lot has changed, and maybe even going around and asking Pankaj now that what has been your experience? How have things changed? Of course, things have changed at many levels, and something we cannot really put into any kind of metric right now in this sense. But overall, how are you seeing things change in terms of the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you, Ashima, and thank you, Nitin. As Nitin also put in that a lot has changed, and this is...
There's a mic.
Am I audible? Is my mic on? I mean, it is on, but are you audible?
Yes.
You can hear me, right? Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so agreed that it is a golden era. There had been mixed responses from the industry. I would say that it's a two-edged sword, because we have seen initially, a little bit of resistance was there to immediately cope up with the situation, and then learning took precedence. I think in the first lockdown itself, when we saw people, connected throughout, and everyone was talking about only learning, because suddenly businesses realized that the business transactions might take a little more time from the customer's side. So learning is the area which we can immediately work upon. And in fact, you all must be knowing that on various social platforms, the learning or the L&D vendors, they were very active. You take LinkedIn, you take any other platform, and you will find that these people were constantly connected with the customers, and they were proposing so many things, so many new tools which were being explored. And L&D suddenly became a strategic point. I am not saying that it wasn't there earlier, but the digital learning became a strategic point for companies to utilize that time which was available with the employee. The commute time, majorly in bigger cities, was being utilized for learning and development. And the learning and development teams across industries, particularly in my industry, where things are intangible, we are constantly, trying to have the human touch. We were at a loss as an industry. We felt that we were constantly, talking about meeting people, using digital platforms only to take appointments, and further discussions would be on face-to-face appointments. That scenario was completely gone. So people were grappling initially. There was a feeling of being lost in the game, but training came to the help of the people. So L&D really had seen a time where, in fact, I am happy to share that the adoption level of our LMS increased many folds, which we have not seen. It was an unprecedented move. People were connected right from the morning on the LMS tool, and they were also exploring newer ways of connecting with us and learning more. And there was a huge response from the employee side as well as from the intermediaries. I also trained the intermediaries, so there was a huge response. Although there had to be a technical know-how shared with the teams so that it becomes more effective. The eagerness was felt, but that know-how was to be taught, to be discussed. And that is where companies which could do that came out as winners.
Very great point there, Pankaj, that generally one would think that you can take a horse to the water spot, but you can't make them drink it. But
Absolutely.
The fact that you're able to infuse that energy in people to take up that learning. I'm sorry, I'm hearing Carmistha. I would just see if Carmistha is joined. Yeah. Welcome, Carmistha. Sorry, we missed you at the beginning. Now that you connected, I'll come back to you shortly after concluding my...
Sorry about that little confusion.
No, not an issue. Happy to have you now. So yeah, Pankaj, a fair point there that it's nice to see when organizations and people in the organization respond so heartwarmingly to these lessons. Now, very quickly moving to Carmistha, and then going around asking the actual question on choosing the right delivery partner. Carmistha, what has been your experience in the pre and post-COVID era, where how are people interacting with these systems, and what are the changes you're seeing?
Yeah, hi. So I think, suddenly systems has really sort of definitely taken over our life. And the way I really see it, that I know how to put it. I think, we used to earlier say work is worship. Now I would like to possibly feel that, technology is something that also needs the same kind of attention or maybe devotion from all of us, to really make it work, because it can really make our life simpler, more beautiful. So that has been personally my discovery. It has given us agility, it has given us productivity, it has given us balance of life and work, and it has helped us to innovate and create a lot more. And currently I'm also taking my, let's say, team or across teams in the organization on the power of digital technologies, and I'm really building those awareness across functions and businesses, including our own. And you have to see how people are getting energized, how they are feeling creative and innovative, and how they're raring to go and contribute. And to me, the biggest thing is how human beings suddenly are looking at their jobs as not jobs anymore. It is actually a possibility and an opportunity to unleash their creativity, add value. The excitement, the energy is huge. And I believe that's also happening because people feel now it also gives them a certain sense of control to do things their way, which was very difficult to do in a non-technology and non-digital era. You just had to be a 75, 80,000 people bank. It just suddenly feels that we can reach out to everyone, and whoever has whichever responsibility, they can create a higher impact. So I see this distinction at many levels, at a heart level, at a head level, at an action level, at a mindset level, at a capability level. It has tremendous impact. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Carmistha. Actually, that's a good revelation that people are now more visible in organizations of those size, and that actually for leaders, it's an added sort of connection now that they weren't seeing before, and I think that is leading. And taking it from there, that how are now these systems being chosen? How are you now? I'll move to Nitin quickly, and then Nitin, how are you in your industry now choosing a delivery partner? Considering the changes that we've heard across the room, what is it that you're giving precedence to, and in view of what you're hearing from your people, there is a new acceptance of learning and development, growth. People are excited to learn more. People are more visible, which is why I think they're even more eager to grow. So, what are your points there?
Sure, Ashima. Like been added already, that there has been a transformation and we can reach out people and learning everywhere, and we kind of help them when being lost situation was there. I think that this is an important question, how we select our partners, how do we go expand our hands and legs with technology like Sharmishta talked about. So I think I can share a small instance on it. So Sharmishta and I have worked earlier, and she'd been my mentor. So this is about 2012, and I was working with Rockwell Automation as a Asia Pacific head, and we had to finalize a psychometric tool. Like you want to finalize today the LMS partners to the knowledge partners and to the EAP partners. It was exactly the same situation, and I reached out to Sharmishta, being my mentor those days. I asked her, can you recommend me a tool, a psychometric tool that I implement in Asia Pacific? And she said that you have this tool, this tool, this tool, this tool, this does this, this does this, this does this. But you got to go back and do a comparative analysis and find out what suits your organization the best. So I think it is not that which one is better. It is about that comparative analysis, that grid analysis. It's a scientific approach and not just a momentarily approach. And L&D people are very well versed when we select big partners. We do it. It's the same thing, but it's complex. Why I say it's complex? Because my search of these partners had to really make me do it differently. I had to reach out my friends in the industry who are working on a similar level in different companies, told them, you must also be doing a research. I'm also doing a research. And with the help of a lot of people, then we were able to put up a strong comparative analysis to understand what part is to be served where. Because we don't have to think that one solution will fit all. We have to think of personalization, and there's no limit. Rather, it's just a beginning.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Ash. A good point, Nitin, that when you're choosing your partners, you have to do a comparative analysis. But they say that companies, generally learning strategies and aligning with these systems and business goals. That's also at the focus when you're choosing your partner. So just to understand your organization a little better, at any given point, how many people are we talking about taking these trainings? And if you could just lead us with some example and numbers so we have a better perspective on things.
Sure. So the imagine total number is about 15,000 people, and there is some part of which are contract full-time employees, some part of is management cadre. In management cadre and in other cadres, there are further categories. And all these categories, all these levels are to be served differently. All these customers have different needs there. So that's how that is the scale that we're talking about. And we are a manufacturing organization. And typically in manufacturing, training has an old history, it's compliance, and it relates to man hours, man days, lot of forms, lot of submissions. And on the same time, bringing in a new thinking of ensuring a business impact with everything that you're putting in. Because in training, we invest a lot of money, and that is pure profit. And penny saved is penny earned. So if I go ahead and spend $100,000 on an intervention, imagine, and it's doesn't work, rather invest further productive man hours, think about it, how much sales had to be done to get that profit or PAT of $100,000. So it is even critical than that. So I'm investing pure profit. So that's the reason I think with that kind of a scale, with that kind of working around, technology is a bliss. And we always talk about that this is better, that is better, and I love to talk about that. Our fight is with ignorance, and that we have to understand it. I'm not talking about ignorance of leaders or employees or middle management. It is with everybody. You meet people all around you. How many of you know who are studying continuously and working continuously, building continuously? There's an ignorance we have to fight, and it's just a beginning. Go ahead.
Thanks, Nitin. I hope that fight carries on. Moving to Pankaj. Pankaj, what are your thoughts on the same question that before we begin, we'd like to know your industry size and the people that you're talking of, and with numbers, and then knowing that how are you choosing your delivery partner with that in mind? What are the things that you're looking out for your people and in these delivery systems?
Yeah, as an organization, we have, let's say, 2,000 plus employees, but our associates, the intermediaries that we talk about, the channel partners, are very, very high in number, let's say 25,000 plus, and they keep adding. So if we tie up with a bank for bank assurance, suddenly there is an upsurge of, the number going up by some thousands. So we have to reach out to all of them because, as Nitin also mentioned, that the fight is with ignorance. So making people aware and then engaging them and then ensuring that the productivity goes up. So that becomes the initial challenges. So reaching out to them, and as they say in advertising, that conveying an idea from one point to another is as important as having the idea in the first place. So the technology tool is extremely important, because without which we have seen that the reachability is it cannot be achieved in a very short span. And today we are also racing against time. So the faster you reach out, the better business you can assure. And that is one part when we are choosing the LMS partner, the digital tools. Second is the adaptability. How fast that system can adapt to the environment, to your type of industry, is extremely important. There are many LMS vendors are available who have expertise in your field. For example, in my field, insurance, there are many people who have expertise and they understand the business very well. Third thing is the scalability, because every now and then you have to scale up your systems. So how fast and how easily, seamlessly that can happen. So we have to look at that scalability part in detail, and we have to constantly look out for partners who actually deliver that. So our vision cannot be for a year or 2 years or 3 years. It has to be even longer. Although I understand that technology changes so fast that we can't have a horizon of more than 3 years, but still that has to be in mind, how fast you're going to grow as an organization. And industry is also, the regulator is absolutely pro digitization. Everything is being nudged and prompted by the regulator also, that how important it is for the customers that the insurers are completely digitized and they reach out to the customers in the shortest span, and how easy it is for them to understand our terms and conditions, because we are in a very strict legal industry, and reading the policy wording puts you to sleep. It is I am sure none of us have read the policy wordings completely, not even our refrigerator instructor booklets. So, so policy wordings are very difficult for a common man to understand. Inside the company, we are working on a project to simplify the language.
Yeah.
We call it B1 language, that's the European nomenclature. So we are working on that to simplify the language of insurance also, and to reach out to the customers so that the customers don't get lost into the fine print. And it is very important for us because you must have heard people talking about insurance industry having a lot of fine print and some hidden clauses, and then when a claim occurs, they try to show you all that hidden clauses they come up. But that's not the case. It is all there. But the only point is that it is not understood by the user, and it is not understood by the policy holder. So this technology will help out in reaching the users very fast, making it simple and also very engaging, because we have seen that the video-based learning has actually engaged people so well, and we can do a lot which the print cannot do, which maybe even when we are discussing in a classroom also we require these tools to help us actually show this. The last thing I would also like to mention is the integration, because the system, the LMS has to integrate with your internal systems so well that it throws up in real time all the data, analytics, and everything that is consumable and is used for a better user experience. So that is all which we look at the LMS partner.
Thanks for sharing that, Pankaj. Quite an in-depth on point of view in that. Then what I'm hearing is scalability, agility. All of that obviously comes along when you're choosing a delivery partner. Moving to Carmistha now, we understand now that those are the things that anyone would be wanting for their organization, and knowing the scale of your organization, would you just also share with us what are the other kind of LMS learning management systems that you have? What is it? Let's say I was floating an RFP. What is it that I want, from these systems, and how are you choosing that?
Yeah. So, I think choosing the right LMS in my last, I would say, 5 years experience, Ashima, is possibly one of the toughest job. And why is that? Because there are lots of promises, which everyone makes. But, and I think everyone, the vendors or the partners, they're very large, some of them, and they've really created some very good products. But I've realized it always tends to fall short of the organizational expectation. So what many organizations who have scaled now have started doing, let's say if you take the example of Accenture, etc., they've actually gone ahead and created their own LMS because they had the tech support, they had the digital support, they have the money to invest. They've really gone ahead and some of the best experts, so they've gone ahead and created an LMS. So, ideally, that possibly is an ideal solution, but affordability is not going to be easy. So we have to make choices. So I recall, my MD wrote to us, and this was my second or third experience with LMS. So 12 years back, when I was with Ohri, we actually created our own system. And I still believe that was the best one so far. So in my earlier company before Access, we again, had a little bit of challenge. But anyways, coming here, again, I got the same question from MD. And I'm like, now here it comes. He says, is the current LMS good enough? Should we not buy a new one? So with little bit of prudence that I have so far, so I discussed with him and then explained to him that, boss, whatever you buy, it's going to fall short. So it is important to look at LMS as a system which can support all the basic functionalities. Don't expect too much, but be prepared. But buy an LMS which is agile enough to allow you to layer it a little bit. So today I'm putting in a data layer so that I can use AI and data science, because we're a large organization, we have to, and get that right. And then also, a content and a tech platform so that I can offer people the experience. So LXP, the learning experience, is becoming important. The data science is becoming very important to be leveraged to LMS, and I'm saying just use it as that. LMS to be leveraged. That means you have to add those layers. Otherwise, you create your own system if you really want the whole world in one LMS, or be prepared to add on.
Thanks, Carmistha, actually pointing out the fact that if you're going to customize it, have it in house, and if you're going to outsource it, you're going to have certain challenges with meeting your own expectations. I think it would be fair at this point to look at some of the challenges or the pain points that you were facing. I'll take this across the room to start again with Nitin. Nitin, if you were to state one problem that you face, like Carmistha mentioned, it's about falling short of that one thing or maybe two, what would be your experience, and what is it that you then want to eliminate going forward?
Sure. So Carmistha also said one very beautiful thing, that technology will keep changing, you will keep adding on, and that's what it is. We are thinking about our customer. So earlier the intention maybe many years was just that we train them and compliance should be managed, or we train them, some skills should be learned, and slowly we kept increasing. We talked about behaviors, leadership, and we are going bust. But now the reality, we are realizing that everybody has unique needs, and then they will be engaged when they can really feel that it is value adding to their career, they are enjoying, and they can expand, whether it is through innovative ideas, whether it is extending the jobs and things like that. So today my problem is solved by, probably my category would be that, is it AI enabled? Would it match my employee's job description to the best practices in the whole world, and would it be able to give them a precise learning path in a year? Would be able to give them choices to understand that how they need to take the mentorship, how they need to take the projects. So I'm not thinking that give me online learning. I'm thinking, can it give my employee online projects guidance also? That's today I'm thinking. And a year down the line or 2 years down the line, I can promise you I'll not be thinking this, I'll be thinking something else. And again, maybe there would be some new technologies coming. So like Carmistha said that she's been doing this with 5 organizations. So I can easily say that she would have done 10 times this exercise of collecting and knowledge and everything. And I can assure that every time she would have done it, her answers and choices would have changed because her inputs was changing. Today is the time to understand that our customers are our employees, and all that they want is their career, great work environment, and all those things that put them in the highest potential state to work. And it is our job as an HR to provide that, whether it is the great work environment, whether it is rewards, whether it is learning. And learning is such a beautiful thing that it creates certain chemicals in your brain that you can't stop being happy. If you learned bicycle or you learned the car, you can remember when did you learn driving a car? What is the feeling of that freedom? Imagine the same freedom a kids get when the kid would learn to walk. Instead of walking, the kid would run because of the joy of learning.
What a thought, seriously.
That's all that I think is there. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, learning is a beautiful experience, and I think it couldn't have been said better. So thanks for sharing that, Nitin.
Yeah, so the challenge, I think, are continuously changing. Today's challenges, I need to help my customers with a career and development. And it has to be solved. For example, my problem had been from almost last 8 or 10 years, I can easily say, and that is that how do we get our employees that counseling, that what is good for their career? Can I do something where managers are dedicated enough to spend that hour and tell them that what should be that 1-year learning path? There's review happening, there's 360-degree happening, but today technology can solve it. And I think that's the obstacle we are solving today, and it will keep coming, the obstacles will keep coming, and it changes with time.
And I think you're very prepared for those obstacles. So moving to Pankaj. Pankaj, what are the obstacles that you are seeing in your line of view, and what is it that you would, what would be your defining problems, statement right now?
If we talk of the challenges, I feel that the challenges are there from the user perspective. quite a lot, because when we are the L&D people and the technology people, when we feel that we have created a fantastic product and it is going to, be quickly taken over by the users and they're going to like it very much, it doesn't happen that way. So the adaptability is a problem. It's a challenge. How people perceive it is more important than how the maker, the producer perceives it. So technology platform can be wonderful. There are LMSs which are like Netflix in L&D. So they are so seamless and so beautifully designed. But how does the user look at any L&D LMS? So as Nitin very well articulated, saying that learning is a joy, I completely agree. That joy the learner has to feel through this technology, and the user also has to feel that it itself, the learning, coming to know something today, is a joy. And that message has to be communicated well with any LMS partner. So I think that the first challenge is adaptability, because not many users immediately go on the platform and they start appreciating it and continue using it. It could be, there could be a spurt in usage and then it goes down until and unless you do something beyond it. So continuity is extremely important in this, the second challenge. And I feel that the technology partners should also appreciate that it is not just the medium that is so important. It is the message which has to be extremely important, and the message should not be considered as secondary. It has to be equally important, if not more. But then the packaging should not be given so much prominence that the message is blurred into that whole process and the user gets hooked to the packaging rather than the message.
Thanks, Pankaj. That's a great outlook to have. All that shines is glitter and golden, but you can't lose sight of the message itself. Carmistha, coming to you, what would you have to say about some of these internal and external factors that we've now heard, across the room? What has been your experience in terms of what's plaguing the ecosystem right now, and what are the things that going forward you'd probably like to sound some of these tech partners off that this is what we don't want in our systems?
So I think what we definitely do not wish to do is, requiring to guide them what exactly we need. So for example, I think the tech partners their job should not end in just creating a good LMS. Today, for example, content management through LMS is a very, very important area of focus. Then reporting, how do you really manage reporting so that you can really hyper-personalize learning, you can support the business with the right information and take the right decisions, becomes again very, very important. How do you really do the, not only the content management, but the content authoring by subject matter experts?
Hello.
So how do you really spruce up,
Hello. Hello.
And now there's another new world which has come up.
Hello.
I'm so sorry, we have, please carry on, Carmistha.
Yeah. And now there's a new world which has come up, which is the world of digital learning, right? And the world of digital learning, not only about digital classrooms, right? Our LMSs just can't hold all those things, right? So today in our bank, we are now integrating Microsoft Teams with the LMS, but our LMS. So we had to go back and work with them. So I think like erstwhile they had to do APIs with some of the content providers. Now it is important for them to look at the integration with a Zoom or with a Microsoft Teams or with any other platforms which organizations would be using for virtual classroom sessions. Plus, many LMSs partners struggle with having a proper mobile app, and the struggle with iOS is perennial, right? The Apple systems. So how do you really create, the lag between a mobile app and a web-based app is still very large. right? And they've not been able to crack the code, most of them. Now, this is a very, because our world is becoming mobile and you are still in the web era. How is it going to work? So that agility, those changes, and the mobile base, the how do you hold the integration with partners? Then all of us are going to move into, I think, with Nitin and Pankaj both talked about, and hi Nitin, so nice to see you here. Wonderful. So,
Pleasure.
yeah. So, digital content is going to be the order of the day. So we are looking at digital assets, creating our own. We are looking at social learning platforms. We are looking at mentoring, coaching platforms, happening at the click of a button. There are multiple dimensions, which are coming up. So how do you really make their backend robust enough? Most of the LMSs fail. The moment there's pressure, they fail to deliver. So they have to really take these 4-5 important elements: reporting, content management, content authoring, support, integrating with digital learning solutions, integrating with digital platforms, all of that. LMS had a huge opportunity, to become a one-stop digital solution. You should be able to run your webcast through your LMS solutions. But I think we are not thinking big enough. The partners have a very large opportunity to think big and grow well.
Thank you for shining light on those gaps, Carmistha. I am very certain that we'll be able to, through this dialogue, bring those things forward for our tech partners to take note of. And thank you so much, panelists, for joining us today and sharing your wonderful thoughts and experiences. We hope learning continues and we all keep experiencing the joy of learning, as Nitin said. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us today, and so grateful for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashima. Thanks, Nitin. Thanks, Pankaj. So nice
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Thank you, Ashima.
Pleasure meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.